Rose Bloc decided to do a full reset with Olympic boulders. And what that means is basically the boulders are made with the same point system as in the Olympics. So you have a 5-point hold, a 10-point hold, and a 25-point hold. For each attempt, you get 0.1 points off of the hold that you're trying to go for. So for example, if I miss the first 5-point hold on my first attempt, then I'll get 4.9 if I get it on the second attempt. This is my first attempt on the first boulder for the women's. Now the second move, you really want to focus on just completely standing up on the leg, and once you do that, the hold will kind of just be in your face. And then this third paddle here is a bit more about commitment. The foot is a little far away, but once you get it, it's really good, and the other holds are jugs. And I got encouraged by my teammates. My teammate Zach was watching me and cheered when I sent it. So here's boulder number 2 for women's. I really committed to this really stupid beta for the start, where I was keeping my foot super low. So I only had 2 fingers in the first crimp, and yeah, it didn't work every time because I was so stretched out. I would just slip off this low foot every time. Instead of changing my beta, I just kind of was stubborn on this move and just committed to this stupid idea a couple times, and then I kept scratching my knee on the volume. So at some point I figured out this must not be the beta, or at least it's not going to be for me. So I just matched my feet here and then used the high foot and thought I was being clever, and then once I did it, I realized this is clearly what's meant to be. So I was just a bit, not stupid, but yeah, I should have seen that from at least the second try. So here's the first crux of this boulder, is this little foot match on a tiny little jib. And once I got this move, I almost never fell on it again. I think what helped is where I was looking. So I kind of want to look to the right, but also kind of want to face the wall a little bit as well, and really commit to jumping and trusting the foot. That was a really, really close attempt. I think maybe here I get it. I'm also really putting my face on the wall, which is making the angle better. Because I'm not standing up, I'm leaning into the wall, but it makes it more scary a little bit because you're scared to scratch your face off if you fall, but it does make the move easier. Then getting to the 10-point zone is pretty straightforward. Just kind of lean back, and I don't know why I'm taking my time so much here. I guess I'm not sure how good this hold is. Some people walking by. Then this move is pretty straightforward as well. You just want to weight your left foot and then commit to shifting the weight onto the left foot onto the right side. And then this is the second crux, I would say, of this boulder. This I actually don't know if I think I'm gonna get on that day. I still fell on the match, I guess. Yeah, I didn't get the... Actually, I fell, then I decided to move on and come back to it later. So this is Raphael Dorion, one of the youth team member at Rose Bloc. He's gonna brush this hold here because he's so nice, explaining how to do it, bing bang, so easy. This is number 3 for the women's boulders. So here there's a missing tape, so I actually was doing the start wrong. They put the tape back afterwards, I saw, and yeah, it's basically really similar, but... So I thought this boulder was pretty easy, pretty straightforward, until this last move where you have a really good high toe hook or heel, but this match just felt too dangerous for me. Felt like if you're crossing like that, if you go to match and your hand slips, because the heel or the toe is so good, you might fall on your face. And I just didn't want to risk that, so I kind of choked on it. This 10-point hold would be easier for me to get if I would put my left foot higher on the dual text hold, because it's really good, but if you get it wrong, it's pretty gross, and hurts your fingers. Okay, I did fall on this second attempt. Then I tried to go for a little bit of a Ricci beta by just going right hand to the last hole, but I was too extended, so I didn't really know what I could do with my feet. I was kind of stuck. So then at that point I was getting a little frustrated, but I decided to give one more try with the last attempt with a new beta for the end. So I did the start the same way I usually did it, even though I did do it afterwards on another day, and I thought moving the left foot higher even before the 10 point was a lot easier to get to it. So because this crimp is really good and this foot is extremely good, I decided to just smash the crimp and then take the last hole, which is not as great as you would want, and this toe hook helped me a lot. This is probably the easiest boulder for the women's, probably the easiest of all the boulders, but it's still extremely fun. This first move you can jump, or you can static it like this. The static way is definitely the less risk, but a little less fun as well. This move here, the only thing you need to think about is kind of the feet. The foot is so good that if you're just thinking about landing on the right spot, then your hands are just going to land in the holds. And then for this flipperoo, the trick is usually to think about putting your hips really near the wall, in between the holds. You'll have more time for your hands to just fall into the hand holds. So this is men's boulder number 4. I just tried it because it was an easy days and it was a slab, so I didn't want to do anything too physical right after a big rest. So I tried this boulder and it looked pretty easy, so but I think there's different beta for the where the purple holds are, and I think depending on your beta can make the boulder pretty hard. Some people stand up and then take the side pull, stand up, take the side pull with the right hand and then press on the other one, and I just stood up with the press, so it felt like less risk. And then this move is probably the hardest of the boulder. I have sweaty hands, so I'm pretty good with jewel tex, but they stick on it. So I went back to the slab, last boulder of my session. So for this move in the corner, what I've noticed is you either can put your foot wherever you want, even if it's a little high on this hole, your right foot, and then really jump. I tried the step through as well. So here you can see my foot is really high on this hold, and why that doesn't work is because when my feet are switching, then it doesn't leave any space for my left foot to join. So because my right foot is so high on the hold, when my left foot goes to match, it has no place to go. So it goes really high, and then when the right foot lands on the last part, and I land in the corner, I lose my balance because my feet are so high on the holds, it makes me go off balance. So I've noticed that when I was looking at the footage. So I tried to purposely put the foot a lot lower on this hold. And what I noticed is it feels a little uncomfortable to put it lower, but once you lean into it, it feels so much better. And once you jump into the corner, then it leaves so much space for your left foot to land also a little lower on the hold, so you can really lean into the corner. So moving on, now this is my second day, so the next day I went back and I decided to try the 3 boulders that were remaining. So they were 3 men's boulders, so I definitely noticed that the holes were a little more spaced out. So one of the tricks I have for this type of move, when you feel like you're too short to land the toe hook and the hand at the same time, because the toe hook is so good, you can actually just put your shoe a lot less into the toe hook. So you just put basically your toe hook literally on your big toe, and that gives you just a little more length to play with. So when I did move my foot a little bit, it gave me a little bit more of my fingers onto the handhold. There's a couple beta for this boulder. You can either jump to the 2 fit volumes, or you can basically use the more strength method and do a right hand on this first fit volume. So the jump just felt off for me on the first try. I did want to try it because I knew this is what was probably intended, but it just didn't feel right for me, so this method really felt easier for me, even though it was a little more strength dependent. The holds were so good that it wasn't that hard, I guess. So the trick, if you want to do this beta, the important part is to really put your left foot completely flat on the wall and commit to really smear on the wall to get a really good opposition from your left foot and your right toe hook. So at that point, I did not read the rest of this boulder. I was really focused on the start, and when I got there, I was just so confused. There are a lot of options and a lot of holds, so it's a really nice boulder for a comp simulation, because you really need to make good decisions, but also commit to whatever decision you're making, which I did not do it right here in this attempt. So I got a power spot to try the boulder from that point on, because it didn't really make sense to just continue to do the start every try. So tried something different, didn't work. Tried another beta here, which I could really feel was off when I was trying it. Still committed to trying to do the heel, but then I tried this, which felt really great, but I should have been a little more patient and just bumped my left hand up. Yeah, at that point I was getting a little tired and perhaps a little frustrated, so I decided to move on to men's 3. Now this is where the session gets a little less successful and a little more frustrating. This first move is really hard. What I understood from this move is you're supposed to really pull with your left toe onto that little foot chip. I did see Seb use the right foot with his left foot. Maybe that works because the left foot does seem a little low. So yeah, basically I'm just trying over and over this first move, never really getting anywhere. And then what we did do afterwards is a power spot where I'm still trying to move, but my spotter is just taking a little bit of weight off of my hands and feet by pushing me a little bit into the wall. So he's really trying to help me as least as possible, so I can really feel out the move, but with a tiny bit of help to make it just a little easier. So at that point, I switched to the other paddle, the last boulder that I hadn't tried, and I was getting super tired. I should have skipped this first move a lot quicker and just moved on to the paddle, because it was a really interesting move. So because of that, I switched to the other boulder that I was trying earlier. Because I did have the beta at that point, I decided to just try to go for a send. And then I'm still using this beta, which I found was better for myself. Flat foot, then these are jugs, so you can breathe, figure out your beta. So for me, what worked best was holding this crimp, bumping my left hand to the fit volume, and putting it a little higher so I can get to this crimp. And then this is fine. And then it was the first time I got to that point, so I put a really high foot, which was unfortunately a mistake. Then I was didn't pull hard enough, I guess, to make this last move. Also, in my defense, just to give myself a little excuse, I was coming off a long rest, so my fingers did feel a tiny bit tweaky. And this last move is actually a really big move onto like a crimp. And I wasn't feeling it. My fingers were hurting. I was at the end of the session, so I let go of the send and I moved on one last time to this slab, which, spoiler alert, I did not do in this session. I did come back to it and did the whole thing up to the slopers on my first go, and it took maybe 2 or 3 goes to do the whole boulder. So yeah, I think this is my favorite one of the whole reset actually. I wish it was just a tiny bit harder maybe, but still really tricky. It took me a long time to get it, so yeah, and it was really fun. Here I'm blowing on my hands because I have really sweaty palms, and there's no hands required for basically the whole boulder except this last move on these slopers, which you do need dry hands, and I did not have that at any point when I was at that move. So you can see I'm lowering the right foot, then leaning into it slowly, and then jumping. This move, I never understood really how to grab these 2 slopers, and basically the one time I did do the boulder was another session that I didn't film, and I just jumped 2 hands to the right sloper, and that just worked better for me and allowed me to send the boulder. A good friend of mine here is offering me some chalk, but I didn't want to lose focus, so really nice of him. He was also helping me a lot with my frustration on that day, which is really nice of him. But yeah, I really recommend these boulders. I would recommend maybe doing them on a day where you're feeling really fresh, and then trying actually to give yourself maybe 5 minutes per boulder. Try all of them and count how many points you have at the end of the session. Hope you guys like this video. See you later.